And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're taking a look at, not El Grande, because El Grande's been out since 1995, which is 20 years ago. El Grande is a great game, one of my favorite games. I love it a lot. In 2005, they came out with a 10-year version, and now Z-Man, who has the rights to the game, came out with the 20-year version, the big box version, because, hey, you should put everything in big box, and it includes 6 expansions. That's amazing. Okay, well, let's take a look at this. I'm actually not going to be reviewing the gameplay of El Grande itself. I have already done that. You can see my review on El Grande. This is going to take a look at, is it worth it to get this big box version? Here we go. All right, first we'll look at the box. Now the box is really oversized. You can fit everything that you need to. Each of the different sections is its own thing. The tower goes here, but you can see these are very deep wells. There's lots of extra plastic. I mean, this probably everything could have fit into a space like this if they so desired. But this is what it is, and if you do want to keep all the different expansions and stuff separate, you can. Okay, so let's look at the boards now. This is the original board, and one of the biggest problems this board had was the complete lack of numbers on the outside of it, which is really kind of ridiculous. So what they did here is they changed it, and now there are numbers every 5 spaces around the outside. You'll also notice that instead of having a scoring track here, which was okay, they just now moved the scoring track separately. Oh, it's time to score? All right, let's score. Okay, boom, it's time to score, let's score. That's a minor change. You'll notice the board is also slightly smaller in how it fits on the table, misses that blue border, whatever. They also, the other side of the board allows spots for where the expansions can go. So if you want, if you're going to play with the expansions with America and Africa, they're already printed here. Now, the board does have the same spot for the Castillo, and here is the new one that's placed right here on top of this island, and so it fits there. It's a nice one, but it does pale a little bit besides the original one. The original one was really sturdy. I mean, that was sturdy. This one, not quite so much, although that was a nice sturdy drop there. But it's smaller, not that much smaller. It just feels less cool. Maybe it looks better? I don't know. I guess the black one does look stark. The new one does look like a tower. It doesn't really matter, probably, in the long run. So the original game here came with the cubes and with there was your El Grande, that piece. Now they are meeples, which is a much nicer representation, I think, than what was in the original game. Your El Grande is just now a fatter meeple. They also changed the color brown to purple. To pink. So anyhow, they also changed the depiction on the cards themselves. The cards are pretty much the same artwork. You'll just notice that instead of having 4 dudes pictures, they have 4 meeples pictures. It's pretty much 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Now the meeples, they fit in the tower just as well. And they're there at the bottom, so that part's not a problem. So that's pretty much the differences between the components. The artwork and everything else, even the wheels, are pretty much the exact same that they were in the original game. There's just more stuff. So this version comes with a new anniversary expansion, the flag bearers. Each player gets one of these at the beginning of the game. They'll put that in the region and they'll put one of their dudes on that one. And these essentially are tiebreakers. That's it. So if I have 2 greens and you have 2 yellows in a spot, then greens win the tie. That's it. If this guy is taken off the board for any other reason, someone else will pick up the flag. There's always going to be a flag on the board, so these are just tiebreakers. This is essentially okay at best. We used it, it was fine, but it was just a little fiddly and it didn't really add anything to the game. Yay, you broke a tie. That's nice, I guess, but I don't know. I found the piece where you put the flag on the guy. I would have preferred like a little guy with holding a flag or something, but either way, this was pretty much a just big meh from everyone I tried it with. The expansion King and Intrigue replaces both the action cards and these cards. Each player is going to get a deck of 18 cards, of which they're going to pick only 13. We'll talk about these in a second. And then these cards will be placed in the middle of the table. This is for a 2-player game. If you had a 3-player game, you would have these 3 on the table. If you had a 4-player game, you would have 4 on the table. And if you had a 5-player game, you'd have 5. Essentially, there's a King's card, Caballero cards, and then an Intrigue card. Now, each player at the beginning of the game is going to take their cards and build 13 of them that they would want to choose. Each of these cards has different numbers, different amounts of guys that you get from the reserve, and different special abilities. Just like the original game, the player will pick any card from your hand and play it. So if I play 30, and we just go around, and then maybe the next person will play, they have to play a different number. So maybe they play a 10, then the next person plays a 180, and then the last person plays a 130. So whoever plays the highest card, 180, gets the King's card. And then the next person gets 130, the next person gets 30, and the next person gets 10. Now, when you play the King's card, you can move the King to the region of your choice. This one here, the Caballero cards, let you take the special action on your card, and the Intrigue card is you may move one Caballero, or you may move all your Caballeros from one region. This shows how many guys you get from the reserve, and this here shows how many Caballeros you get to place on the board. This completely changes the game, and this is my favorite. I will always play with this one if I can, because not only does it allow you to customize your deck, but it gives you more choices. You have a different set of action cards than everyone else. That is even go further when you add in set 2. There are some more numbers here, 73, 53. There are more cards, and then set 3 where there are even more cards, and players are still going to pick only 13 of these cards to play throughout the course of the game. You'll notice that many of these cards you have seen, these are basically the same things as the action cards in the original game, at least the initial ones. And you can tell the difference because these have 1 swords, while the expansion ones are 3. And I always play with all of them. For new players, it's probably overwhelming to have all these options, but you know, there are different things. For example, look at this one from set 3 here, table for 6. You have a 6 limit table. There can only be 6 Caballeros in that region, and that tile is included with the game. There's a lot of different small tiles that these things can include in a game. So this one here would include this tile, and you would throw that out on the board. Others that I enjoy here you can pick a region that's scored immediately, and then everyone goes back to the province. Put a card in front of someone that says keep until they use it. It's gone. Here's a coup. You can place an opponent's Grande in the Castillo, and then it still gets its bonus in the Castillo. So that's an interesting thing. Get rid of someone's Grande out of the spot. Choose a region where you have 1 or more Caballeros, but not the most, and then score that region. Is that worth doing? Some of these are very much in other people's face. Some are pretty cool, like this one, which lets you place 5 Caballeros. It's a low number, 15, but it's a neat thing. And you know, you're going to probably spend a lot of time. I like the Joker because you play this one, you get to pick. You basically, when you play this, you get to pick which card you want to play. You can take the Joker, but it kind of drops you one other option that you have in your hand. And so if you're going to draft these at the beginning, it's going to take you a while because you're going to look at all the different options that you have. You can put a quarantine marker on a spot. You can pick a spot that has Civil War. You can relocate the Castillo to a region of your choice. You have a mistress here. You can place your Caballeros in the region of your choice. But there's no King's bonus this round. So there's all sorts of things. And when you're taking these cards, you're thinking about the number on them because the higher number means you get to go first. You're also thinking about how many they're going to bring from reserve, and you're thinking about the special ability. Like I said, I don't know that I would play with all the cards for new players. I would probably just play with the original 18, pick 13 of those. But once people know what they're doing, I'll always throw in sets 2 and 3 and pick between them. It's obvious that I already like El Grande. Now, this thing says 6 expansions. It's really not 6 expansions. First of all, I showed you that flag bearer. That counts as 1. I then showed you those cards, which I really enjoy. That counts for 2, 3, 4 more. The last 2 expansions, which I did not show you because I haven't even played them from the new big box version. I've only played them in the original game. I went over them. They're pretty much the same, and they add Portugal and America and other regions to go to. Meh. it's okay. I don't feel the need to play those. The other ones I like a lot. So saying this game has 6 expansions is kind of a misnomer. It really has 2 expansions and then some minor variations of those expansions. That's fine. There's still a lot in here. For the most part, I like the changes. I like the cubes going to meeples. I like the new board. It's still a little bit bland looking on the table. When people come by, they may not be thrilled by it, but I'll tell you this, folks. As I've always said, El Grande was one of the first area control games that ever came out. It is probably the most pure. It is an amazing game. And what's fascinating to me is this amazing game where you played a card that gave you reinforcements and then let you pick one of these action cards, and they changed that and gave you those combined cards, and that was even better. It's not often an expansion improves on the base game. I used to say for the expansion, like, yeah, I can take it or leave it. Now I will always play with that, especially with the sets 2 and 3 cards, because there's, 21 plus 18, 39 to pick from. You're only picking 13. You're picking 1/3 of the cards. So you're trying to think, okay, what's someone else going to pick? I don't want to pick all high numbers because then I won't get enough people out. But if I pick all low numbers, then I won't ever go first. And so there's a really good balance there. Now this box is too big. There's no question on that. And like I said, I'm not using all expansions. It feels kind of a waste of my shelf, but I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep it because El Grande is that good of a game. If you've never played El Grande, again, go watch my original review, but it is that fascinating, a great game. Having everything in one box, sure, half the expansions I won't use, but I'm using the base game, and the other half of the expansions, and that experience is sublime. Dice Tower Judgment, the box is too big, but the gameplay is amazing.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door.